to the Do This for Life podcast with OEV of Be Truly Faithful. I'm right here in your ear every Wednesday, encouraging ladies to do love, relationships, family, nation building, and good sex for life. Yes, this is where you get to do this for life, y'all. Woo! So let's go into today's broadcast. Welcome, everyone, to the Do This for Life podcast with OEV of Be Truly Faithful. Thank you for tuning in today. Today, I'm going to be sharing a podcast my husband and I recently did on our Build a Nation podcast. This was episode 9, and we did this recently on my page on Facebook, and it's entitled Our Apology to Singles on the Imbalanced Teaching of He Who Finds. So I hope you all enjoyed this podcast with my special guest of today, Pastor Antonio Vance, my hubby, as we work on into number 14 years in our marriage. Enjoy, y'all. All right, long as y'all can hear Pav and me, we're good. All right, so y'all, we want to do an apology to singles. For those of you who are newly married, this comes out to y'all too, but especially to our singles, an apology. And when we say an apology, we're basically making an apology on behalf of the modern day church who tend to harp on teaching single women about preparing for marriage. Y'all, we stand on preparing for marriage. We no longer believe you can really technically prepare for marriage. On preparing for marriage, on being virgins or celibate in order to get a man, and all the things you got to do to get a man. And then to single men, apology on behalf of the modern day church, because they're left out of the equation oftentimes in teaching, which makes it an imbalanced teaching. What'd you say, babe?
Forgot about y'all altogether.
Altogether. The teaching is...
Forgot about y'all altogether.
Right. The teaching is primarily to women, and it's men and women who are harping on single women, and then the men are left out. The men are just left out there to do whatever. They're supposed to automatically know all that they're supposed to know because they're men. And how the Bible verse, he who finds, has been taken so out of context. So we're going to start there, babe. Just wherever you want to start with that.
The he who finds thing is, first of all, that's only a proverb. That's not a commandment. That's not some mandatory, universal thing where you're going to hell if you don't, But that's what the so-called church makes it look like.
Yes.
They make it look like that's the way you do it. Let him find you.
Right.
And then that puts a burden on the man, because he doesn't have any guidance because y'all left him out. So, number one, you're saying he's supposed to find, then you ain't giving him no guidance. So you're leaving him out, but then now you want to say he's supposed to find. Okay, right. Give me some steps. What can I do to find? Because I'm sure there's some men out there that was like, man, they always talk to the women. They don't ever say anything to us. So yep. I'm just going to go see if BET will show me how to find them. or TV One or whatever, go look on Instagram or whatever, or Facebook, or, one of them things. But the church harps on women so much because, women make up a good amount, a good percentage of the church, but that doesn't mean leave the men out, which has been going on for years. The men are there too. Jesus didn't. What 12 did Jesus have? Did Yeshua have? What 12 did he have?
Right.
He didn't have women following him. As disciples. During his time on earth, he was teaching men because those were the ones that were place to lead, and those are the ones that he sent out. Not saying women couldn't do it, of course, but we're talking about the men aspect for a minute. Those were the ones that he sent out by twos, and the ones he instructed, and the ones he mentored, the ones that followed him, and the one that had the Last Supper with him, and all of that. But then, if Yeshua didn't leave him out, why is the church leaving him out?
Right. And we're harping, the modern day church harps so much on women. And that's why I really believe when Paul in his wisdoms was stating, hey, I believe he was talking primarily to men. Hey, let the older women teach the younger women. Let them do that. Let them handle that. We men got to go out and do this. We men got to go out and make fishers of men. He didn't tell men to make fishers. Now, we know primarily men there can be universal as far as men and women. But ultimately, Yeshua was talking to men about getting men. All right? Because oftentimes, what did we say before on the previous podcast? We said that if a man marries, a believing man marries an unbelieving woman, oftentimes within a year and a half, that woman converts to whatever it is that he believes. But when it's a believing woman who marries an unbelieving man, it oftentimes takes between 8 to 10 years before that man even comes to her faith, if he ever comes at all. So it's not to say that women can't be influential or that we are not as influential as men. It just means because of the roles in marriage where the man is considered the head in believers' marriage, that if you make fishers of men, primarily you're going to have whole nations of believers. And it doesn't mean that women, again, it doesn't mean, and that's patriarchal too, by the way, y'all, because the Bible is primarily patriarchal. We can't dismiss the fact that the Bible is patriarchal. The Bible was big on polygamy, which was polygyny, which is a man having multiple wives. He also had concubines. We can't forget about the fact that we like to talk about Esther. We like to harp to women and teach on Queen Esther and talk about how she prepared and had all these different spices and perfumes and had all these beauty treatments for up to a year on how she was prepared to meet her king. We love to harp on that, but you forget there was a queen already in place with a king, with that particular king that Esther was getting prepared for. And she was just literally pushed to the side. Oftentimes we like to pick and choose things and say, well, this is what I'm going to go with. But then you pick and choose things to bash others. So I have no problems with anyone picking and choosing from the Bible if they want to talk about marriage and sex and things like that. My problem is when we pick and choose and we bash others. So to singles, the Queen Esther story has been pushed on you in preparing for your king, right? But everybody forgets there was Vashti already there who just decided, at least at one time, that's all we know, not to go to her drunken king. She decided not to go to her drunken king, and literally because of that one thing, she was ousted as queen. She was outcast.
And you never saw her again.
Never heard from her again. Never heard about Queen Vashti again. She was a queen. Why was she put out for the one? Where was the mercy and the grace with her? Okay, so there's been an imbalanced teaching to women, single women, yes, but it's been a balanced teaching for women for so many decades. This is what we get taught about. Well, you need to prepare for that man because look at Queen Esther and she did this and you got to prepare. But no one is telling these men to prepare.
Right. And not showing them how. So then you're telling men to go find, and we're supposed to be waiting. So if the modern day church not telling men how to find, ways to find, steps to find, who are single ladies waiting on? What do we think? Men just automatically know? Yeah, it's just like, and I'm gonna use this is a good example. It's just like you go to Walmart, you say, "Can you help me find such and such?" And they say it's over there. They don't take you to it. They don't guide you to it.
Right.
They say it's over there.
And so what do you end up doing when they say it's over there? You just go out.
You're gonna be lost.
You're gonna be looking forever. Looking for one thing.
Yeah. and then you run into somebody else. They say, that's not my department. Let me go call somebody for you. And then that person, you don't see them no more. You don't even hear the announcement. So the whole place is lost. everybody lost. I don't even then I done left my buggy and I left out the store because I'm tired of asking people.
And then and you just give up, say forget it.
Then I'm like Vashti.
What? Will you come back here? I'm sick of you. Why do you do these things live? So, okay, so anyway, y'all. So basically, men have to be guided as well. When you look in the Bible, you do realize the men prepared, the fathers prepared their sons for battle. You know, men were, so when the sons would get a crew of people or an army of men, they had to be prepped and prepared for war. So and when it came to looking for a wife, oftentimes the fathers would say, tell a servant, because these are the elite men of the Bible. They had money. They would say, go find my son this, go do that. See, it was a collective thing. See, that's another thing, y'all. It's another apology to singles. We're trying to tell y'all what to do on your own. When in the Bible, everybody had help. Even with Adam and Eve in putting them together, the Most High helped them directly, right? So everybody else had help. Hey, I want you to go look for such and such. I want you to go look for such and such. That's what mentors and coaching stuff is here for. That's what we're here for, the older teaching the young. That's what we're here for. So y'all don't have to do this by yourself.
If a brother come to me and say, you know what, man, I wanna find me a wife. How do I do that? And I say, she over there. What? How am I helping? How am I helping that brother out? By just pointing the way instead of taking him on a journey or taking him and helping him along that way.
Showing him the ropes.
Yeah. Showing him.
Like our sons.
Preparatory. Right.
Yeah. You're going to be showing our sons things and showing them about being a man and how pursuing of a woman is something that men do and will show their sons. So if there's not a father figure in the picture, then there needs to be father figures, righteous father figures. Okay. And just like with women, how will my girls know anything? If I didn't talk to my oldest about her cycle before it happened and then continuously talk about it, what will she know? She'll have to go Google and she'll have to look. Why are people being left? Why are singles being left in this predicament? We want to harp on the women and we want to tell them all this stuff they got to do, but no one's harping on the men. So then we, ladies, when we're single, we get mad. Why ain't men pursuing? Why? And you've been thinking it's natural. They automatic. That's because we done messed up the natural anyway. We done messed up the natural of wanting people around us, having a village, having a support system. We done messed all that up so we could talk about men and women things. We done messed all that up by harping on women and then leaving the men out. And then people want to say, well, the men are left out because they don't come to the church building. Did Christ wait on people to come to him, or did he go to people? Did he wait on people to come to him for healing, or was he walking out doing his thing and stopping along the way and talking? All men ain't coming to a building, people. If anybody can tell y'all that, it's my husband and his father. My husband's dad will go on street corners to preach the gospel. He'll pull over. He'll tell y'all in the heart, pull over. This man been doing it for years. PAV goes to men. Been in our neighborhood talking to men. He don't wait for them to come to him. The average man ain't coming. We're in that culture where it's not going to happen. So if you want to create a culture of strong, upstanding men, then the upstanding men know they got to go out and be fishers. Fishers don't sit there and wait on the fish to come to their house. Fishermen don't do that. They go to the lake, put something on that hook, and launch into the deep. What fisherman be sitting at the house talking about, I just believe the Father's going to bring fish here that I can make fishes. I mean, no one does that. But that's primarily a lot of times what the modern day church is doing when they have all these events, thinking men gonna show up, and then they be pressuring the women to bring the men, and then they be getting into it in fights. I've talked to many ladies like, my boyfriend won't never come to church. I'm like, maybe he don't want to come. Is that a bad thing? Because most of y'all be like, well, leave if you don't go to church. No, I'm not gonna tell you to leave him if he don't want to go to church. I'm gonna be like, what makes him not want to go to church with you? Try to look at something. What does your church teach? Do they primarily teach women? Then I can understand why upstanding, righteous men don't want to go to church to hear men harp on women. What man would stand there and hear that?
Exactly, because he probably sitting there like, why I'm going to go to church anyway? They ain't talking to nobody but you.
Right. And then when you get married, you finally do get married, somehow manage to get married, then now the pastors are preaching primarily to the women, and the women like, you need to be more like the pastor. The women are more faithful to the pastor.
And then the very ones that they was trying to get in the church, you done ran them off. Talking about, go over there.
I'm so sick of you talking about go over.
So first, they wanted to be led, and you said go over there. Now they in here, and you done send them back over there.
Right.
So now your husband was coming. He was coming for about 3 months. Now we don't see him no more. He was looking for help, and you left and never came back. You helped my wife. You took my wife and ran off helping her, but left me.
Right. You ask the average man that is not in church, in a church building, why he don't go. Listen to his answer. My husband went out asking men that one time. Their answers vary, but it always the same. Man, church ain't even for me. It's for them. It's for women. Primarily, that's what most of them say. It's like it's for women. Why go?
Yeah, another guy told me they raised too many orphans. That's what he's telling me. He said, man, I don't go to church because, they raise too many orphans. The offerings be longer than the church service.
And see, many people will be looking at, y'all just using an excuse to go to church. No. See, the way that PAV and OEB has evolved over the years is we listen to what's being said. And we don't just automatically make up in our minds like, you making excuses. No, listen to what they're saying. Listen to what they're saying. The teaching of he who finds is so, the imbalanced teaching is he who finds. It puts it all on the man. The women just get in position. We used to say that, so that's why we're making this apology from us as well. You got to get in a position. But yet, I'm one, she who find. I didn't wait on PAV to come find me. I put myself out there. I'm single, I'm looking. And I was looking. I was actively looking for a husband.
The thing about that he who finds thing, they have put a static on that. Dynamic means it's moving, but static means it's sitting still. They have put a static on that.
Stagnant or static?
A static.
Oh, static. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
To like holding that in place to say that's how it's supposed to be. Women sit there and wait. Man go after the woman, but the man can't go after you. But anyway, when I met my wife, let me tell y'all something. When I met my wife, I was on this singles line thing. And I was on there and nobody qualified. Nobody. Just, I was looking for a certain type of lady, good sense of humor, it was just my preference. Not saying it's a bad thing. I just didn't prefer ready-made family and, somebody who had dreams and goals and wanted something. And then all of a sudden I got a message. I came home not home, but I came back to the office, looked in my mailbox, and the paper said, call Jay. Now let me tell you about that.
This is at your job now. You have to tell people it was at your job.
Yeah, it was at my job during the time. And that's why I said the office. It wasn't my home office, no home office, but it was at my job. So I looked at it and I called the number. I said, can I speak to Jay? Because, the handwriting looked like Jay. So she said, you mean Tay? I said, oh, okay, yeah, Tay, blah, 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 whoop, whoop. So we got to talking, and I found out she wanted me.
Okay, y'all.
So I always say that. I always say that, y'all. But really, we wanted each other because we got to talking. We had some of the same interests. Her birthday had just come about. She wanted a birthday present.
Please stop. So y'all listen, let me just help y'all with the story. In other words, I put it out there. I didn't wait. And I had mentors that never told me to pray and wait. They never told me to pray and wait, which is one of the biggest lies I think is told to single women. Pray and wait on a man. Pray and wait to get married. We listen, we want y'all to pursue I'm talking, I have to include ourselves in this just for a second, because we did somewhat similar. Although my husband and I, from jump, he would teach primarily men, I would teach primarily women. We were balanced there. But here in this case, most women were told, most single women are told to pray and wait on a man. A man will find you. It's he who finds. My mentors, who had been married for several years at that time, one was in her 30s, one was in her 20s. Both of them had been married at least 10 years at this point. Remember, I told y'all it's the significance in being married at least 10 years plus. All right. And they never, ever told me to pray and wait on a man. When I asked one of my mentors, is it too late? Should I reach out to my husband and let him know how I felt? She told me to do it. She told me to go and do it. How else would you know unless you told them? Unless you tell them. And they never told me to pray and wait. What they did say was like, let them know. Life is too short for all of this, y'all. I know some people like, well, that doesn't technically mean that you pray and you wait. Well, okay, we can go that route too. Wait in the Bible in its proper context, in certain contexts, rather, I said that way, means to gather. That's working. So if you want to pray and gather what? Skills, abilities, knowledge, whatever. Pray and wait. Pray and do things. Pray and be active. How about that? Pray and get out there. Pray and mingle. Pray and let some people have, some guys have your number. Because when I heard him on the singles line, I didn't want to pay for it, y'all. But he said where he worked, which was actually against the rules. So I looked up his job and I called him. I called him on his job. Yes. The modern day church looks down on that. I've been told that that's too forward. Okay, forward is a bad thing since when? Look it up. Find out the definition of forward. It's not a bad thing. I was told I was too forward. I was told that that's not becoming of a woman of God. I was told that that's being fast. Y'all know, why is fast for me? Why? We married 14 years. And now people want to say, well, that's just you. It's a lot of us. It's a lot of ladies that didn't sit back and do pray and waiting. It's a lot of ladies that said, I'm going to shoot my shot. It's okay for ladies to shoot your shot. Now, let's be wise. All right, there's some wisdom that goes with that. Please don't shoot your shot with everybody out there. That doesn't make sense. Do you ever see in any basketball games, there's only 2 goals. All right, so everybody, don't bring down the other goal, shoot every shot. Then you might be out there looking a bit desperate. There's wisdom there. He had all of these great things about him, and I wanted to know more about him. So I went out there. As my husband said, he who finds, number one, it's a Proverbs. It's a Proverbs.
Yeah.
It's a proverb. That means it's nothing more than Solomon. Solomon wrote the 1 through 29 of all the Proverbs, right? He was talking to men. All right? Which my husband will say to men, hey, y'all, get out there and find a wife. You find a thing. That's some wisdom. That's some like, here you go. Go out there and find you a woman. How? Okay, do this, do that, do that. He was talking to men, just giving them advice at that time and that culture in that day. So what about today? We don't have that same culture. So why are we taking these things from that day and time for that culture and trying to make them fit in today's day and time in this culture? This is why it's so imbalanced. Now you got all these single women out there, especially single black women, waiting on men that ain't coming. They're looking up, they're 40 and they're 50 years old and still unmarried, still with no children, still trying to figure out when. Because we've been telling y'all for over decades to wait and pray. And that a man is going to find you. And if you're wrapped up so much in Christ, he's got to seek Christ to find you. When these men who are searching for women wasn't seeking Christ like y'all been told. And that's not a bad thing, because those men have Christ already. So they don't have to seek Christ when they already have Christ. So they just out there looking, see who's out here. Oh, she looks nice, because they looking primarily at body first. That's what most men do. That's just sight stimulated. That's you can look at that, it's proven. And then they approaching women. And some women are actually going up like Taffy Dollar, like, hi, my name is Taffy. I'm about to shoot my shot with a man named Creflo. Here's my card. I study over here, such and such, because Creflo never said anything to her. And they've been married over 30 years. Okay? So, the imbalanced teaching. If we're going to harp on women, then we need to be harping on men. If we're not going to do both, then just cease teaching either. What you got, babe?
And then I need to go ahead and...
Okay.
I got a couple of students that came really early.
Okay.
But, when the women are wondering where the men are, the men have been made like Vashti. They've basically just been pushed away, and a lot of times the men that they're pursuing, that they could be pursuing, or the men that could be found, are being a lot of times replaced by the pastor, who already got somebody. When you think about it, because even when they get married, a lot of times, like you said earlier, they telling their husband to be like the pastor. No, I'm me. I'm not the pastor. Then by you wanting him to be like the pastor, you driving him away. And like we said earlier, now he ain't coming to church no more because he can't be himself, because he got to be like Pastor such and such.
Yes.
So overall, men need to be guided, on how to pursue a wife. Even though it says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. Okay, how do I do that? Yeah. There are steps in that finding. So I'm not going to be a pointer. I'm going to be a guider.
Yes.
That's the best way to be. Instead of saying over there, come on, let me show you.
Right.
That's
it.
The best thing you can find when you go anywhere. Hey, excuse me, can you help me find? Okay, come on, let me show you.
That's it,
I remember
babe.
back when I was working at Kroger, I would always I did it so much, they'd say, oh no, you don't, it's all right, you just show me where it's at. I don't want to pull you away from your work, and I'll take them anyway. Because if they get over there and be walking up and down the aisle, I say, oh no, that's okay. It's okay, it's part of my job, and I take them over there, show them with it. Oh, thank you. I would have never found that if you hadn't showed it to me.
I hope y'all really just got what he just said. He used an analogy from a job he used to have. What did he say? No, I'm going to show you. I'm going to take you over there. And when they would say, even when some would say, oh, no, he said, no, it's part of my job. So as a man, he's saying it's part of my DNA to show these men a way that they could go this way, or let me guide them and help them. Did y'all get that? This is what's missing in the modern day church, which is why I vouch more for the ecclesia, because the ecclesia ecclesia is what PAV does when it comes to men. I'll show you. Did y'all get that analogy? That analogy should have shook this whole live right there. That analogy is how you make fishers of men. When you show men the way, you won't be wondering what a men are. You're going to look up just like when you go and launch out in the deep. All them fish going to be biting. Y'all seen that video where the fishes was biting, just biting and biting? You're just like, oh, which one? That's what's going to happen. Listen, I've seen it. We've seen it. My husband was out there with these men for years. And now these men who was over here having these girlfriends and having babies with these girlfriends, we just found out from Facebook posts, they're finally starting to marry these girls. That means that he was guiding them all that time. I'm not saying they didn't have other guiders. I'm just saying he was one of their guys. And they have to give him props and say, you know what? Mr. V, that's what they call him here. Mr. V was one of the ones who told me I need to do this and do that, because they didn't have fathers in their lives. That's why it takes a village. That's why you need mentorship. That's why you need coaching. That's why you need big brothers and big sisters out here. Because if y'all came from a family, any of y'all come from large families where you have your older sister, your older brother that be teaching you and showing you the way of things, that's how it's to be in the body. We're one. We're not always going to think and do things the same way. So, but what we do, if we got some guidance out there, we won't have to wonder. Because that's what it's like in the grocery store. When they don't take you to where it is what you're looking for, you got to wonder and search and look and all of this. But if you have a guide along the way, it makes your searching a lot easier because you get guidance along the way with your search. Somebody, come on. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Stress-free sex.
Yes. All right.
Get out of here.
Okay, babe. Thank you. Thank you for being on today. We'll do this again tomorrow. I'm going to wrap up and read some of the comments and stuff. I love you. See you later.
Love you, babe. Kiss the babies.
I will. I will. I see what you're doing. I love our family. Okay. All right.
See y'all later.
Bye, boo. Okay, so Freeman talk about my inbox is open. Okay, I'm just trying to catch y'all comments here. Thank y'all for hanging in there. Hey, Rebecca, if you're still on. God's word doesn't change because of culture or time. God's word doesn't change because of culture or time. But if you are, okay, let me say this, and I don't want to go too deep. First of all, we got to understand what God's word is. Too many of y'all are saying the entire Bible is his word, when that's technically not true. I'm not going to get in that today. We got to understand what is God's word. God's word that never changes is the universal word that goes from culture to culture, transcends everything. All right. Then there are things in the Bible that's not technically God's word. It is the wisdom who were led by the Spirit to speak things in wisdom for the people they were talking to at that time. That's why the commandments are definitely God's words, the words of the Most High. But when Paul, for example, I use Smith's example, gets to talking, he will tell you, I say, not the Lord. And then he will come back and say, the Lord say, not I. Okay, we got to be able to understand the Bible in context. There are things Paul said that was primarily for the Roman culture at that time. It was not universal. You can go and I can give you the best place to go look in 1 Corinthians 7 right now. And you will see as he's talking about things, he said concerning the things, he starts with concerning the things where all concerning the things you wrote unto me. And then as he's going down telling you things in his wisdom, he will come and say what the Lord said. And he will tell you he's backing it up. Because then you can go find that in the Old Testament. But the other things he's saying are his. He said, but I feel like I still have the Spirit of the Lord in what I'm saying. But God didn't tell me to tell y'all this. I'm telling you this based off my wisdom and what I see that's going on in this culture. Okay? And that's the thing about Proverbs as well, y'all. Proverbs was for that culture and that time. Does that mean you can't use some of the things in Proverbs for today? Yes, you can. For you. It's not for you to make it into a doctrine that's for everybody universally. Do y'all understand that? Because if you keep doing that, you will find yourself oppressed, repressed. You will be doing this to yourself. And the modern day church has a habit of regurgitating stuff from back when and saying women have to do this and women have to do that, but they miss it. For example, let's take the story of Boaz and Ruth. Everybody loved talking about you need to wait on your Boaz and he's going to redeem you and all of this. But you missed the whole story. If Boaz was a redeemer, that story is going to be more for how Christ redeems than how a man redeems a woman. Why? Because, first of all, Ruth had been married before. She was not a quote-unquote single woman. She was a widow. Y'all got it? She was a widow. She had been married before. Now, they were left in a state where they needed some finances, okay? They need some finance. So she decided to stay with her mother-in-law, Naomi. Now, I'm big on Ruth's having Naomi. I see that as a single woman, as needing an older woman. That's all. But at this point in time, Naomi gave Ruth instructions so that their family could be redeemed, so they can be okay. So Ruth worked in his field. But then what did Boaz do? Boaz went to the man next in line to redeem a woman and said, hey, you can take her. Can you do this? He said, no, basically, in other words, I can't afford that. Because Boaz wasn't next in line to redeem Ruth, his kinsman. It was another guy. I forgot his name. It's in the Bible. I think his name is in the Bible. But anyway, he was next in line to redeem. But he said no, because in those days, you could not take on another woman, wife or concubine, unless you could afford to take her on. When you hear some of these men today talking about polygamy and they ain't got no money, just dismiss them, because men in polygamy have money. And 90% of the marriages in the Bible were polygamous. All right, y'all listen to me. And when we talk about, let me finish my statement. So basically, Boaz was next after this guy to redeem Ruth as his kinsman. All right, because Boaz had money. All right. And so we have to understand what that story means in proper context. That's why you got some women out here that say, okay, Boaz and Ruth is a nice Bible story, but they will never take it upon themselves to use that for an example for themselves or to wait upon a man to redeem them. They'll say, I just see it as a story. And you can't make it universal with, you better wait on your Boaz. You're going to have some single women out there. No, I'm not. I'm not waiting on the Boaz. And it's fine. Okay, does that make sense, y'all? All right. So his word doesn't change because of culture. True. But all things in the Bible, you have to understand, for the Bible, there are actually more books than the 66. There were men who got together and decided on the canon of what books would go into the Bible we have as today. But if you read the Ethiopian Bible, it's 81 books in there. If you read the, what is it called? The Catholic Bible, it's another name for it. It's 4 books in there? Y'all, we can do this all day. First and Second Maccabees, we can do this all day. The Apocrypha. All right. But we're not going to do that. So when I see things like that, when people say God's words doesn't change because of culture, time, you're right. His word doesn't. But all books in the Bible doesn't mean that they are God's word, actual words that he said. Okay. But they were included in the canon to help you in what you choose. You can choose. You can't pick. When you hear people say don't pick and choose, don't pick and choose to whatever you need from that Bible to live righteously. Keep his universal commands. What did Christ say? He said the law of the prophets hang on these two laws. Love the Most High with all your heart, mind, and soul, right? And then love your neighbors, you love yourself. Those are the 10 commandments right there. Okay? Most of everything else, are you still out there killing, sacrificing animals? No. I mean, really, think about it. Can you wear blended clothing? Yes, because back then you could not. So I just want to make sure I let y'all know. Anyway, y'all, I'm about to wrap this up. Go to build-a-nation.com, get your free checklist. Even if you've already gotten it, keep checking with that domain name each day, because you'll be able to sign up for our family webinar that's coming up, and it will be for pay. Very, very inexpensive, but we will cover things on there like what to do when you have bad sex in your marriage, what to do when your children are out of order, if you want to start to homeschool your children. We're going to do things more in depth and work more closely with those who want to work closely with us. That is coming up. All right, so you have to have the wisdom to do that. Yes. Black Love Matters, yes. Love that picture, yes. Hi. Thus said Paul, not Yah. Yes, there's a lot of thus says Paul that's not Yah. All right? Just like there's a lot of thus says OEV that ain't Yah. But I'm giving wisdom based off my wisdom in certain areas. And if I know of a situation with you, I'm giving you that wisdom. You don't have to do it. It's not a sin if you don't do it. So those things that Paul said are things in Proverbs. If you don't do it, it's not a sin. You won't go to hell for it. It's not a sin whatsoever. Okay. And the wisdom of the spirit is what I see working you teaching these lives. Oh, awesome. Thank you. Is it Shoshani? Well, I must be too church because I'm not going out looking. You don't have, listen, do you? Keep waiting. If that's what you want to do, this teaching is for those who it's for. Okay, y'all? We made our apology. We explained that apology, and we hope y'all got the most out of it. All right, I'm done. I'm out of here. Thank you for addressing Boaz. Not all women will marry Boaz. Exactly. And all women are not going to have a husband that even represents a Boaz because they don't see it as he redeemed them. In my case, I believe my husband saved me from a lot of stuff because of where I come from. But that may not be your marriage, sis. That's my marriage. Okay? A lot of people misinterpret the book of Ruth. It's so much deeper than a romantic story. It was solely about redemption. Correct. All right, I'm done, y'all. I believe some was David's journal. I hope nobody can. Correct. All right, I love y'all. I'm out. Well, we did it again. Another podcast completed. Thank you so much for tuning in. And also thank you for sharing my podcast with others to help in bringing more exposure to the many issues we have in relationships and just in this life in general. Thanks to Ben Sound for the music that you're hearing right now in the background. And thanks most of all to my special guest, my hubby of 14 years, y'all, Pastor Antonio Vance, aka better known as PAV. I love you, babe. So listen, everyone, don't forget to go to build-a-nation.com to register for our family webinar we'll be having within the next month. That's build-a-nation.com to register for our family webinar that we'll be having within the next month. Listen, y'all, it's only $19.97. Like, that's it. Like, how you can't even beat that with a stick. It's going to be Pav and I on this thing talking about relationships, marriage, sex, parenting, and all of it as it resorts to building your nation. It will be on a Sunday around 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and those are the things we're going to be addressing, but we're going to be addressing on a much more personal level. You have to understand, when we do podcasts or go live and things like that, we're talking primarily on general levels, and we don't know what you all are personally dealing with. Therefore, come to the webinar so you can get your issues dealt with. We will be there at your leisure to talk about these things and to help give you step-by-step practical solutions steps that you can take for the issues that you're dealing with. We're there to listen to you. We're there to teach, encourage, and uplift, but also listen to you, give you some feedback on what you're talking about, what we're saying, and things like that, all right? So that's build-a-nation.com. Go today and sign up. Click the link where it tells you to sign up. So listen, I'll be back in your ear next Wednesday, so make sure you tune in. All right, let's get this thing rolling, y'all. Okay? All right, enjoy the rest of your week, fam. Much love.